Welcome to the start of a new anime review series. And you're thinking, you're starting a new one even though you're still doing another one? Yes. This one basically I started purely because I'm reading light novels. I figured why not check out the anime too. I was actually planning to do it anyways. Now this one's called Restaurant to Another World. Yes, that is the name of the series. Now there is some familiar voice cast in here. Yes. Now, the restaurant itself, which is known as Western, I'm going to make sure I get this right because it's called Western Cuisine Nagaya. By the way, I'm discussing the first two episodes of this series. Now, this is a restaurant that does exist in the real world, but here's the thing its entrance is quite unique. It's explained a little bit in the second story for the first episode that there's these doors that pop up in the other fantasy world, and people come through it come on the Saturday is what on the way to describe basically Saturday here. Yeah, the way they pronounce Saturday is a little different there. They even call it shrimp shripe. Yes, seriously, that's the way they pronounce it there. So once a week, these people will come through, and it's only on the Saturday because during the week it operates as a normal restaurant. Any restaurant normally would. Excuse me, from Monday to Friday, zero problem. But it's closed to the public Saturday and Sunday. And you're thinking, why would it be closed on Saturday and Sunday? Sunday probably because they have rest, obviously. But in the case of Saturday, normally other restaurants, heck, even restaurants where I live, they're always busy on Saturday. But this restaurant is uniquely closed on Saturday for good reason. Because its entrance, when the door opens, we get someone from the other side coming through. It could be a sorcerer, a swordsman, a lizard man. Yes, a freaking lizard man. Heck, even a dragon who takes the form of a beautiful woman. Who, by the way, this is known as the Red Queen. And this woman's voiced by the awesome Stephanie Young. Like, wow. And of course she mentioned she's 100,000 years old, and the first thing we see when she's uniform, she's butt naked. I'm like, damn, for a woman who claims to be like, well, uniform of a dragon who's 100,000 years old, like, damn, this woman's hot. Yeah. And she refers to the restaurant as her treasure. This is from the first story of the thing. She has appeared in the second story briefly, but it's mainly because of a new character pops up there. Yep, the master of the restaurant, basically the owner and the head chef, he is voiced by the awesome Christopher Sabat. Now, this is quite unique. He is technically the male protagonist of the series. And this also is the first time of all the series I have seen Sabat, which, by the way, this makes the 27th series that I've seen him on. I've heard his voice. And usually he's voicing supporting characters, or usually a character appears a couple times. That's generally how he does things. But this is the first time I can think of where he's played the star of the series. Because I had never heard him never seen him play a character where he plays the star of it. And he does an absolute really good job. Now, in the book, they explain he inherits his place from his grandfather. No mention about his father per se, so he is informed about the whole thing with the actual door and the fact this is going for many years. How far back it goes, this was going on, never actually explained. It's just been going on for a long time. So, the first two that come are basically a couple regulars. And they are, there is a sage who basically loves pork cutlet and the other guy's teriyaki. This is a guy named Tesoro. He's a swordsman who is voiced by the awesome John Sweeney. Yep. And he also, the pork like cutlet, he is a magician. Now, they do explain every episode that of the 2 episodes I've watched, they do have menus, and they have like a bar, it's a regular, what looks like to be a regular sit-down modern-day Japanese restaurant. That's what it looks like. So, they come in and they're like, wow, this place looks interesting, to say the least. Now, normally with the whole eating at the bar thing, that's usually something you don't see in Japan, here very much. having the actual tables and having an actual bar people eat at, like actual food from the kitchen. You usually see an actual bar per se, or that or one of these very fancy restaurants per se. And the chef himself is dressed like, not like a Japanese chef per se. It's basically probably any chef basically. It's the European style with the big poofy hat and the white coat. It's basically traditional chef type. So he makes this particular meat for a lizard man who comes in. He loves it, demands seconds, and after a while, him along with another guy and two other people look like they're about to start a fight, and the master goes, "Hey, no fighting in a restaurant. If you do, you can't come back and eat food again." Like, okay, fine. And that's in a segment. It's really good. Now, the thing does basically into a second segment where you see the master is waking up, and he wakes up, and it's like, oh. And by the way, apparently he gets up at 4 a.m., which, that's kind of early. Why the heck would you get 4 a.m. to open a restaurant? So apparently his apartment is just above where this restaurant is, which, not a bad idea to do for an owner. Basically, there's his work right downstairs. Puts on the outfit, he's trying to get something to eat, and then he knows something on the kitchen floor. It's a woman. Now you're probably thinking, is this woman here to seduce him? No. This is not particularly a human woman per se. It's a demon. Her name is Alita. She is a demon whose only attribute being demon is the fact she has goat horns. Yes, and she wears this particular attire and this hat that she wears to cover her horns, mainly because demons are chastised in that world. So, apparently the master's got no problem with her being a demon. Nope. Looks like a normal human girl. And it looks like she's like wearing rough looking clothes, and she looks very dirty. So, let's just say she is first offered some food after she eats the food early in the morning. She almost slightly slept on the floor of the restaurant. He doesn't have a really big issue with that, despite the fact this is a kitchen floor. And he was going to clean that pot anyways, and her eating it saved a little bit of time. From what I could tell, he actually is not upset with her eating what was left in that pot. He probably was pretty grateful because he was probably going to throw that stuff away. So, she loved the fact she used to have a job at an inn. So, he basically, after he gives us the breakfast special, which looks like some kind of lettuce, some little bit of meat and cucumbers. I probably wouldn't eat this stuff anyways. So, after getting this stuff, basically, he just, you want to work here? That place does work. Were you working as a server? And she says, yeah, I was. So, hires her on the spot. Just, there's a shower room right over here. And apparently she's never seen a shower before because she's from the other side. And like, oh, of course and yes, in case you're curious though, because the shower scene, do we see her naked? Yes. Yes, she does appear butt naked. You see her rear end. Turns on the faucet. Uses men's body wash. Yes, men's body wash to wash her body. Like, oh, this looks so good. Yes. So, then of course she gets the maid outfit. She doesn't wear the hat per se. Well, it's basically a server attire, and she's hired right on the spot. And she only works there once a week, 14 hours. Like, damn, that's a long shift. That's longer than shifts I work. Apparently, work from dawn to like sunset. So, she's hard on the spot, and then we see the Red Queen looking out on this, and like, oh, someone's new to my treasure. So she apparently finds out where she lives, and what does she do? Does she try to eat her? Because she's a dragon. Does she try to burn her? No, just bonds up with protection magic. I'm like, that's interesting, because normally dragons are very jealous when someone takes their treasure. And apparently she's got no problem with it, so just gives her protection magic, and that's it. Of course, when she gets back there, she's sleeping in the hay again. I would probably thought that would be better for her to stay on the other side. I mean, I don't think the owner would have a problem with it. I mean, I'm surprised she doesn't stay there, but apparently because she's not from that side, she probably can't stand the environment or whatever. So that's that for the first episode. Which, by the way, like in the case of another series I reviewed, Drugs in the World, they're all basically just two stories, and it's about just food, per se. First one's about beef stew and the Poker Special. The next one is mincemeat cutlet and fried shrimp. The second story is focused on a treasure hunter. Yes, a treasure hunter who was very curious about this place where William Gold, that's the name of the treasure hunter, had spent his last days. At this, like, old, decrepit mining town. So she goes to this particular place to go for the mine, like, for treasure hunting, because she's a treasure hunter. Opens the door up, like, oh, door opens. She's, like, very shocked, like, oh, it seems like this is an alarm. Takes out a knife, and he's like, whoa, calm down, lady. By the way, this lady is voiced by Caitlin Glass. Which, okay, by the way, she does appear in the very next segment, very briefly, for a cameo, which, quite nice. You got 2 episodes in a row. We have a character introduced in the first segment, and you have a brief cameo in the second segment, which I do like that. Maybe they come back in future episodes. Who knows? So, she's asked basically, like, oh, she's like, oh, a demon. And she doesn't have an issue with it. Nope. Normal people would have an issue with, like, oh crap, it's a freaking demon. And she's like, oh, a demon. Yeah, she's making a big deal of it. The master basically just had no problem with her being a demon. I would think the treasure hunter who's from that side, she would have a problem with it, but apparently she doesn't. No problem. Doesn't raise an issue about it. And treasure the water. By the way, this segment and next one, the people come in, love the water because it's ice cold. So they try the mincemeat special. She loves it. So has some seconds of it, and she's told, oh, put this lemon on it, like squeeze this lemon juice on it, put the sauce on it, tastes so good. Now, I personally have never tried mincemeat like this. Not really, no. Beef stew, I actually have tried it. It's actually really good. It's mostly like meat mixed with vegetables. That's mostly what I think of when I think of beef stew. Pork cutlet seems more like basically sliced up meat. Yeah. But in the case of this, it looks really good. And she loves it, so it's because she loves it so much. Basically, she pays the master, and before he leaves, he gives her takeout. Apparently, she's never heard of takeout before. Like, okay. So she's like, oh, because you like the meat so much, I made some meat sandwiches. So you can eat this while basically you come back here the following week. She's like, okay. And of course, she has to come back for the next segment, so no problem with that. And then we have a very next segment here, which, by the way, this guy who's in the next segment, he's voiced by John Michael Turnham. His name is Heinrich Salman. He's in charge of a fortress, and he's basically visited by Toguro, which, yeah, comes by, and of course she thinks that he's here to kill him, or at least some guy who uses the name. And he's like, oh crap, you're really him. Yeah, apparently he's well respected on 2 different continents. So he's here to deliver something for him. A sword. And there's a flashback in here. Yes, a flashback to basically when he went to go visit the place the first time. Where he was being attacked by. The way he kind of explains it is that he went to the restaurant. This was, of course, just after a group of Mothmen. Yes, Mothmen. And you're thinking, Mothmen? What the heck are Mothmen? Well, ever heard of the Mothmen of Pennsylvania? Think of that, but a whole group of it. And like evil monsters, the way he portrayed in the series. So it got so bad, so because he was a very good writer, he rides out, and partway there, like in the middle, like it looks like a desert per se, like a mountainside, and the horse starts foaming, and you're thinking, wait, why is he foaming for? It's suspected he got some poison with the Mothman, so he just runs, and apparently he didn't bring any coins with him, so he just basically just carries his clothes on his back and his sword. So he runs, and he basically just falls from exhaustion. And he looks up like, oh, there's a cabin. He goes inside, and of course, tells him to put away his sword. And sits down, and he asks, like, can you read Eastern Continentalic? He's like, yeah, I could do that. And he's like, wow, good penmanship. Yeah, he comments on penmanship. So he sees that, oh, they have fried shrimp. And he suspects, oh, my hometown basically had fried shrimp a lot. So he must have been from a port town. Like, okay. So he has a fire ship, loves it. And of course, he has dip in tartar sauce. I do the same thing too. And these are big shrimp. Like, my gosh, I have never seen shrimp like this before. These things are the size of fingers. The usually shrimp I've seen are usually the shrimp around that size or jumbo size. These things are freaking long. These are longer than my freaking index finger. Like, damn. So after eating, he realizes he can't pay. He's like, "Oh, I'm paying your tab." He's like, "No, I'll give you some collateral." Take the sword, and then he goes back to the place. Not 7 days later, 10 days later. This is after he delivered a message about giving reinforcements to the place. So Breshner wasn't there, and of course he's going to go back to for 3 years until Takuma came by, and he comes back. He goes to the very cabin because the door was nearby, and of course, Alea's like, "Oh, welcome," and he's like, "It's a fried shrimp," and Alea's like, "What?" And, "Oh, you're back. Haven't seen you in a while." Yep. Yeah. So that's how the episode ends. With, of course, we have Sarah there, and she is, of course, related to William Gold, great granddaughter or something. Yeah, I gotta say, for the opening 2 episodes of the series, this is really good. I thoroughly enjoy. I love the stories they do here. Um, the thing I think is a bit, a lot of people might point this out though. These people overact a lot to all this delicious food. I mean, yeah, I do mind the fact these are delicious. Like, don't go over the top. Like, it basically look like you're having a night with another woman. Like, damn. Like, spending that with a person. Like, damn. It's like so good. Like, yummy. Because apparently they never tried this before. That's the reaction. Like, everybody's got the same reaction. Though the beef stew one, the lady who comes by, the Red Queen, she at least has tried this up before. Yep. But for the open 2 episodes, it's good. And yes, once I catch up with the series, I will be adding this to my anime review schedule, and it'll be on Saturdays. Yes, though how much further this can last, because apparently that they will release 17 episodes for the series so far. This first season was 12 episodes. I'm watching this one dubbed, and starting with episode 13, I'll be watching it subbed. Though it won't be too long per se, but as soon as I finish the first season, I'll take a brief break, read a couple more books, and come back to the series. Oh, and in case you're curious, though, what chapters does these episodes cover from? These ones cover. First episode covers chapters 5 and 20, and the second episode covers 1 and 3. Like, okay, interesting. But yeah, not much else to say about these episodes. Really good. Love the animation for this series. If you're a little curious who does the animation for Rush to the World, it is. Well, the first season, apparently it's one of those shows they switch seasons for whenever they make the series for it. The first season is done by Silver Link. Yes. Now, I have actually, watched these series these guys have made. Shiverfeld Knight, that's one of them. Death March for Rhapsody. Alaska's Hit the Rise New World. Let's see. So far, that's 3. Yeah, so I think this is the 4th series that I come across. Oh, and here's something, though. This first season aired 4 years ago. Yeah, 4 years ago. And if you're curious about what this is based on, it's based on light novels. And this is something interesting, though. There have been 5 released, and they're all released here. All of them. The first 3, all 5 books, first was released in February 2015. Second was released in July 2015. Third was December 30th, 2016. The fourth book was released in 2017. Basically, looks like just before the series aired here, before the series aired. And the last book was released almost 2 years later in March 2019. But here's the thing, when they released it here, the books themselves were released 2 years after the first season aired. So I guess some people were basically curious and they were getting a chance to read this stuff. So, first 2 books all released in 2019. June, September, and December. Fourth book was released 1 year later. And this is something, though. The fifth and most recent book for the series was it released a month later here. Like, really? A month later? Damn. So, yeah, it was released January just this year. So, it was released, the last book was released 9 months ago. So, if you're curious about the series, it's all over here. Yep. And there's a manga. Yes. And just like with the anime, it's all released here. But the mangas, well, the original manga is not published. There is sequel manga. They did start publishing that recently. I don't know how far the manga went when it comes to adapting the X series, but I'll find out really soon. Yep. Oh, in case you're curious, so am I going to do Shaman King today? Yes. I'll probably do it after watch 2 more episodes of Rest of the World. Okay? So next video, which will be next episode of the series. Bye.